So when you thank God daily, you avail yourself of opportunity to handle every other issue in your life. Solomon went to give God thanks for a particular reason, but on the premises of that sacrifice, his other lingering issues became matters for God's urgent intervention. You provoke the presence of God when you engage him in thanksgiving. Psalms 22 verse 2 says, "But you are holy, O you who are enthroned in the holy place where the praises of Israel are offered." The Bible says God inhabits the praises of his people. His presence is felt in the thanksgiving of his people. So whenever you open your heart to say thank you to God, you are unlocking the door to his presence where all impossibilities are handled. If your matter can make it into the presence of God, then it is handled. The woman with the issue of blood said, "If only she could touch the hem of his garment, I would be made whole." The presence of God is the antidote to every single ailment and disaster, and that presence is carried permanently in the praises of his people. When you thank God daily, you qualify for the renewal of your blessings on a daily basis. People who have cultivated the act of praising God and giving him thanks constantly live permanently on the list for renewal of blessings. Proverbs 3 verse 9 says, "Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the best part of everything you produce. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will overflow with new wine." When you thank God for his fingers, you qualify to see his hands. One of the major reasons for stagnation and circular living amongst the children of God is that we forget that we need to live in perpetual thanksgiving for us to record any meaningful progress in life. I remember as a kid, I would always beg my mother for a football of my own so I could kick about in the yard. Of course, my Nigerian mother would always say no, but one day she came back from the office, and I went to her room and thanked her for the notebook she had gotten for me on her way back from the office. Now, this is where my eyes opened to this passage we just read. When my mother came downstairs that afternoon, she had my ball in her hands. Now, she had bought the ball at the same time as she did the notebooks, but she wanted to see if I would appreciate the notebooks, and that propelled her to give the ball. Knowing my mother, if I hadn't said thank you for those books, she would probably have returned that ball or given it out and made sure I knew why she did that. So it is also with God. All your blessings are readily available and packaged in the store of heaven, but you can only access them through the instrumentality of thanksgiving. So when do you thank God? Many times we are faced with so many happenings that we actually forget and overlook the place of thanksgiving. Ignoring the place of thanksgiving is as dangerous as idolatry to God. What do I mean? Many of us forget to return to God in appreciation when the winnings have begun. We become so ecstatic and carried away in the fineness of life and forget how that came about. So when do you need to thank God? Thank God when the miracle happens so that it can be completed. Jesus, during his time on earth, encountered 10 men stricken with leprosy, and he was moved in compassion to heal them. He gave instructions to them, and the 10 all went away and got healed of the disease, but only one returned. The rest of the men went about their jubilation and ecstasy and forgot by whom that victory came, save one of them, who returned back to where Jesus was sitting and came back to give him thanks. And the Bible records on the book of Luke, 17 verse 17, Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except..."